Next row
We spoke at a school, I know, right, everything now. We spoke at a school in Drury not that long ago, about a month ago, and there were 250 people there, and everybody clapped for that. But anyway, real quick before I get into stuff, write our information down if you want. Email address, these are our cell phone numbers. Like you said, we travel to a lot of schools and speak to a lot of people. We've done a lot of stuff for the fraternity to give back. It was about a 4-hour drive for us. We got up at 3 this morning to come out here for you, and we charge to do stuff with you guys. So we want to make ourselves available to you. Write down our email address, phone number. This will be up here later because we're doing other stuff, so if you want to jot that down. And then I'm just going to go through so you guys know why you're here. So this is a province workshop. We're here to help you guys do some stuff. We're going to do kind of an icebreaker thing now to get everybody going. It seems like most of you guys are chatting pretty good, which is good. We like that. A lot of times when people travel with these things, they kind of stick with their own chapter, which is fine. But we want you guys to meet some new people too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with you. What's your name? Kevin. You weren't sure? He's like, Kevin. Okay, Kevin. So Kevin, we're going to start with Kevin. We're going to count 1, 2, 3s, okay? So if you get to 4, you're doing something wrong. It happens every time. So I'm watching, really? Somebody has to say it. Somebody has to say it. 2. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3. And you're going to do 1, right. So we're going to count down. We're going to kind of cycle around. It always gets messy when we get to the next row because nobody knows we should start here. So we'll just kind of cycle and snake around. So let's start counting. Hold on. The one time it's awesome. That's the kind of thing that happens to me when I get in front of you. Oh, that's good. All right, go ahead. Start over. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Drury.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
All right, everybody remembers their numbers, I hope? Okay, so we're going to put 1 in this corner, 2 will go to that corner, and 3 will go back there by the dumbbells. So we need one person from each group who's going to come to this table and grab some supplies. I don't care who it is, grab them and then go back, whatever you want, and then go back to the group and I'll tell you what's going on. So one person doesn't matter and stuff. Whatever you want. Alright guys, here's what's going on. I think I heard somebody say, listen up, here's what's happening. You guys are going to get 5 minutes to make an airplane out of your stuff. And then we're going to see these airplane guys. You got it. Okay. Alright, you got 5 minutes, guys. Go ahead. We haven't taken any air. I'm just gonna like do that.
Ours floats.
Ours drifted down like
All right, guys, so here's what's going on. Here's why we did that. One, because it gets you guys kind of split up a little bit to kind of meet some new people. Secondly, here's what happens. When we teach leadership to people, leadership is a very inherently boring topic. Does anybody agree with that? Like, who gets up in the morning and goes, I love leadership? Nobody? No, a couple? Nice, good. Good. Yeah, well, we agree. Leadership is... Oh, okay. I didn't know what's happening. But that's kind of why we started this company, because we realized that the face of leadership generally is like a stodgy old man, you know, in a three-piece suit behind a big oak desk that has no connection to anybody. And we wanted to change that a little bit. What happened? Okay. So I like Charlie Brown. Okay, so here's why we do this. Because one, there's typically one person that kind of tries to take control of the group. Did that happen with you guys? No. Yeah. Great point, Gary. You're wrong. All right. Well, typically that's what happens, especially in larger groups, because everybody's kind of got an idea, and then you always get the engineers who are like, I'm an engineer. And then who had an engineer in their group? Did the first one have an engineer in their group? Yeah. He's like,
arrows.
generally it needs some propulsion, right? Isn't that part of a plane? Just drop it, it's fine. So here, 2 points with this. Typically within a group, a leader will emerge, and that's a good thing. That's what we want, and then communication starts to happen. Now on the flip side of that, you had me as a leader of you guys telling you what to do, who was lacking in communication, right? What's your name in the back corner again? Aaron. Aaron? Okay. He, once he heard airplanes, like, trying to sneak back to the table because my communication was bad, right? And that happens a lot. What's that? I suck. Is that what you said? That one I heard. He's like, you suck. I'm like, right? So, but what happens is, you guys are going to graduate from college hopefully within 6 or 7 years for your bachelor's, right? That's bad show. They're going to get worse. I'm telling you, you got to laugh at it. I'm saying somebody always does it. Was that you? Yeah, I say it always happens. I'm like, right. That wasn't even a good joke. Anyway, it's not fun. Okay, so here's what happens. You get somebody that's a leader, and they start talking and telling you how to do things, and communication breaks down. Communication is bad. I was your leader. I said, go get stuff. Right? So what's going to happen is when you guys graduate, you're going to end up probably in some sort of role. We get into this stuff, communication, a lot more later on, about how important it is, and also what the difference between a manager and a leader is, because there's a big difference. But you are a leader when you're a manager. You need to make sure your communication is on point. Mine wasn't, and that's part of it. But man, that son sucks. This poor guy, luckily, brought a hat.
Yeah, if you guys want to shift over here, you can see not something like that all day.
Have you guys seen that picture of the guy at the ball game with like his hat on backwards, just like holding his hand up like this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hat fails. Right. All right, so we're gonna get into that communication stuff. We like to do that because it breaks you guys up. We have some fun. It's fun. I don't know. But it gets you guys into some new groups and stuff, and we hit early on with some points we want to make. So I'm gonna turn it over to Chris. He's gonna talk on some leadership stuff. I'll get into some confidence stuff. The reason we do leadership and confidence is because they both tie into each other. We're also gonna talk about all that stuff. So there's Chris. Thanks. No problem.
Is that for me or him?
Are we supposed to?
So like Gary said, we like to make this stuff fun. It's a boring topic, like I said. But we like to make the most of it, and what we want to do is we want to give you guys information that's both valuable to you, but also entertaining to listen to. We appreciate you guys coming up and waking up early on Saturday, especially for those of you who are on break or starting to break early, or never got off your summer break. That's fine too. But we do appreciate you guys being here. Before we get started, I have one rule when I speak, when both of us speak. And believe it or not, the rule is not don't use your cell phones, because I know a lot of people say that. They go, please refrain from using your cell phones. Obviously you guys know why you're here. You know this is important, so we really hope that you find it important. And if I see you using your phone, and I'm just going to assume that we said something that was so amazing that you just had to put it in your phone right away so you wouldn't forget it. Or you're following us on Twitter or liking us on Facebook, which we encourage that you do. Leave the Messenger Academy, find us on there. What my rule is that you guys engage us and that you communicate with us. We don't like to lecture. We didn't plan to lecture. Okay? If we just stand up here and talk to you guys for hours today, then you guys are going to get really bored really fast. And so what we do is we like to lead discussions. And the only way we can do that is if you guys participate and engage with us. Okay? You can do that by, nodding your head, shaking your head, saying yes, saying no, raising the roof, whatever you have to do to let us know that we're getting through to you guys and that we're making sense. Make sense? I saw a few roof raises. So that's what's going to make this more enjoyable and what's going to make it fun. So please participate. If you have any questions as we're going, don't be afraid to ask them. Okay? There's no such thing as dumb questions. People may laugh at you, but that doesn't mean your question's dumb. So what we want to do is we want to give you guys the information that you need to be successful leaders, both in your organization, on campus, and when you graduate and move on to the real world. In order to do that, we first need to understand how you measure the success of a leader. Right? We need a baseline if we know what we're aiming for, correct? So, this is where the participation starts. How do you all think that you measure the success of a leader?
Results.
By the results, okay?
Manages a good timetable.
One more time.
Manages a good timetable.
Manages your time well,
Ability to guide others.
guiding others, okay? Anybody else? Okay, that's good. All of those are really good answers. At LMA, we like to think of one real solid way that you can measure the success of a leader, and that is that person's ability to get other people to buy into their system and follow them as they move on towards a goal. Okay? It may not necessarily be the right goal or a good goal. They may not necessarily be the right person or a good person, but if somebody follows them, then they're a leader, correct? Okay? I'm sure we can all think in our organizations without naming names or pointing fingers of somebody who may not always be on the right side or may not always do good things, right? But somebody follows that person anyway? Yes? No? Raise your hand. Yes, perfect. Thank you. So does that make that person a successful leader? Yes? No? Yes, it does. If somebody follows them, if somebody buys into what they believe and what they say, and somebody follows them and changes their course of action, then that person is a successful leader. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to look at a few historical leaders and try and find out if that model follows true to them. Okay? So when we put this presentation together, we were trying to think of different historical leaders that we would want to use as kind of points of reference, and so we figured, let's see what Google says, right? Because Google's always right when you ask Google a question. So we went on Google, we went to Google Images, we typed in successful leader, and this is what we get. True story. True story. This is the first person that shows up under successful leader when you search for successful leader. Who can tell me who this is? Mel Gibson, and he is playing William Wallace. Okay? Who can tell me something about William Wallace other than he has a blue face?
He gave an inspirational speech.
He gave an inspirational speech. Okay? He was able to motivate followers. What?
He was a great warrior.
He was a great warrior. Okay? All of those are true. Okay? William Wallace led the Scottish Revolution when the English invaded, right? England took over the country when Scotland lost their king, and William Wallace gathered clans from all over the country and said, follow me, I'm going to fix this. Okay? We're going to get this right, we're going to right this wrong. Who knows what happened to William Wallace? What's that? He was beheaded. Yeah, they caught him, executed him, and they quartered him. Sucks. It's a bad way to go. Was he a successful leader?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The guy died. The guy got executed, but he was a successful leader. Absolutely. Oh, that's down. You want to know who this is?
The laces are red, man.
What's that? Laces are red. It's Dan Marino. Okay, Miami Dolphins quarterback. Anybody know how long Dan Marino played football with the Dolphins? 17 years he played for the Dolphins. Took them to the postseason 10 times in 17 years. Okay? How many Super Bowls has Dan Marino won? Zero. Was he a successful leader?
Obviously not.
Why is that?
He doesn't have any hardware to show for it.
So that's how you measure the success of a leader. He was able to get a team. He was able to get a team to buy into him and sign him for 17 years, and he was able to take his team to the postseason 10 of those 17 years. Okay. Anybody who can convince a team to spend that much money on him for that long must be doing something right. I use this guy as a symbol, as just kind of a villainous leader. Okay. Because if I were to put a picture of Hitler up here, then somebody would write a letter that says, "I was really offended by your picture of Hitler." But we can all think of these types of leaders, right? These tyrannical leaders that lead through fear, lead through intimidation, they do horrible stuff, okay? Are they successful leaders? Absolutely. Absolutely. They may not necessarily be doing the right thing, but they're successful leaders. So how do we measure the successful leader? The ability to get people to follow you, to buy into what you're doing, and think that it's right. So much so that they're willing to adjust their own path to emulate you. Okay? So, what we do is we focus on the things that we think are critical to make you a successful leader. Okay? And just like any good construction project, you start with a blueprint. Okay? So we have what we call the leadership blueprint. And that's what we feel that you need to follow if you want to start on that road to become a successful leader. The leadership blueprint consists of 3 major areas of focus that we're going to talk about. Those are leadership skills, leadership styles, and self-confidence. So first we're going to talk about skills. Okay? Who can give me some ideas of skills that you need to be a successful leader? Speaking. Speaking, the ability to speak, yes. Anybody else? Say it again. Charisma. Organization. Good. All of these are good. Okay? The skills that you need to be able to do and the skills that you need to be able to master and exemplify are the ability to create, educate, motivate, communicate, and delegate. All of my slides rhyme except for one, and that really irritates me that I couldn't make it rhyme, but I tried really hard. So create. So if we're creating things as leaders, what types of things are we creating as leaders that are going to make us successful leaders? Strategies, yes. Structure, creating structure. Okay, what else? About creating programs for our organization. Okay, creating new visions, new strategies, going beyond the original mold, the original, framework that was set for you, and creating something that goes beyond that, maybe moves in a new direction. Okay, so many times leaders are afraid to move in new directions and create things because they think we have to follow this tradition that we've been following. Okay? And we see that a lot in the stuff. We do a presentation on why leaders fail, and that's one of the biggest focuses is leaders' inability to deviate from the things that they consider normal, okay, and to move in a new direction. And all of that comes down to creation. Okay? You have to be able to create things from scratch, new ideas and new concepts in order to succeed as a leader. Because people are only going to follow you down the wrong path so long before they're going to want to know what's going on. Okay? How about the ability to educate? Who do we need to educate if we want to be successful leaders?
Follow
The next leaders. What else? Who else? Okay, we'll start there. Next leaders. How many of you all do, in your organizations, do an officer transition workshop? One, I see one head nod, and then one happening. So we've got a breakdown. Do you agree with that? We've got new people that we're putting into these positions that we want to lead our chapters going forward, yes. So why are we not educating? Why are we not giving them the skills that they need to succeed? It's all part of the move, right? So what needs to happen is we need to have shadowing and mentoring of people. How many of you guys can think in your organization of the people who are going to be the leaders next year? Probably have a good idea, right? Some of you already see these guys that are going into these positions and you know the types of people they are, and you say, this guy's going to be a leader. Okay? What are we doing with that? What are we doing with those people? Are we just hoping for the best? Unfortunately, yes. That's what we do. Okay? We see them moving in a direction and we don't do anything to help them along that direction. We just hope for the best. We need to educate. We need to educate ourselves. Okay? Education never stops if we're a leader. Okay? Gary and I are a testament to that. We educate ourselves on a daily basis on the topics that we talk about. Okay? And if we're talking about it, we're not even the ones applying. You all are the ones applying, right? So if we're talking about it and we're learning about it, then those who are applying these things should continue to learn and continue to grow. Okay? You do that by reading blogs. Okay? Reading blogs from other leaders. Right? Reading stories and testimonials. Going to workshops like this. Trying to find those tools that your campuses, that your universities and colleges offer for leadership development. Most colleges, and we know this because we've researched it, most colleges have a leadership development program or some sort of curriculum that will help you guys to learn the things that you need to learn in order to be leaders. Okay? It's a matter of reaching out and getting a hold of these things and taking advantage of them. Okay? that education continues. What about education for our new members? Okay? Education for new members typically stops when? At the end of, yeah, at the end of legislation initiation. Once you've got them through that new member booklet, we're done, right? We don't have anything else to teach them. They know how to set places at a table, and they know how to shake somebody's hand after the end of a football game, right? The education needs to continue past that. Okay? Education never stops, regardless of where you are in the process. If you are a good leader and you want to be a good leader, you have to continue to educate yourself. What about communication? Okay? Where is communication? Yeah, but always being available? Sure. Yeah. If you're going to be a leader and you're expecting people to come to you for guidance and for leadership, then you need to be available. You need to make yourself available and make yourself easy to communicate. Okay? As, leaders, it's also your job to communicate with them as well. Okay? And the way that people are failing in this area is they're not communicating effectively. Okay? There's an efficient way to do things and there's an effective way to do things. Okay? If I'm sending a chapter, if I'm trying to get a hold of my chapter and I send a text message out to 40 guys that says, hey guys, we're going to do this on this day at this time, is that effective communication? It may be pretty efficient because I just, hit my entire chapter in a matter of seconds. Is it effective? Probably not. Okay. How many of y'all check your text messages as soon as you get them? Couple, about half of them. Okay. Me, for example, if you call and leave me a voicemail, I may not check it at all. Okay. It might sit in my phone for 2-3 days before I listen to it. So is that an effective way to communicate? And whose responsibility is it to figure that out? My leaders, right? It's up to them to figure out the effective way to communicate. The best way to reach me is by email. You send me an email, I get it right away. Okay. Text messages can typically wait. Okay. But in the type of work that I do, if my phone goes off with an email, it's probably something important. Okay. So that's the most effective way to reach you. Breakdown in communication causes a lot of problems, kind of as we saw in our airplane experiment. We're going to do another one that's a little bit easier that you guys can take back to your chapters and use it to show everybody how breakdowns in communication affect what we do. Okay? We're going to do that in just a second. But the reason we do these things, these types of activities, yeah, it's fun, but we want you guys to take this stuff back and relate it to your chapters, relate it to the people that can't be here. And hopefully this message will continue to grow long after we're done speaking. Okay? So we're going to take, how about 5 or 6 volunteers? This isn't anything too taxing, so I'm going to call it numbers. 1, 2, 3. 3 more? I'll do it. 4, 5, 1 more. 6. Perfect.
So